What's going on, guys? TKD123 back in video, and today we'll talk about a brand new article that came out a few days ago. Not really brand new, but this was an article that really did intrigue my thought process, really did intrigue my overall observations, if you will. And I was greatly intrigued by this article, and I want to bring you my thoughts, my opinions, and if you haven't heard of it, gladly shed some light on the topic. Now, as you all know, United States companies that are people that produce electronics or gaming, whatever, or just different ideas in general, they file a ton of patents. These companies like PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo have filed plenty of patents for different ideas on their own gaming consoles, whether it be accessories for the console. Like, they have a ton of patents streaming from plenty of things that you may see the light and maybe never do. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are plenty of patents that that are owned by Xbox, owned by Nintendo, owned by PlayStation, and they have never seen the light of day. And that's just because they thought of an idea and they just wanted to keep it locked down just in case they ever want to do it in the future. They have the right to overall have the licensing for it, make it, manufacture it, and actually do it. And we we see these patents come out a lot of times around the year, whether it be just some random guy looking through the patents that is within Microsoft or Sony, and these patents are public. You can publicly view these patents and really observe them. And we have gotten a lot of good things from these patents. Like, we have even gotten actual Spectrum consoles leaked from these patents. We've gotten the actual whole entire console, like the way it looks, driven to us from these patents. Like, we get a ton of info from patents. And yeah, it's a lot of info, but you also gotta remember that some of these patents may never ever see the light of day. They could have just thought, like, hey, maybe this is an idea. Like, for example, Sony has one where they basically attach some Move controller balls onto the actual PS4 controller. Like, that was actually an idea that they could have done, but they have a patent for it just in case they want to do it in the future. So that is an idea that would be absolutely crazy, but that's the thing that they have. And Microsoft has theirs that are weird. Nintendo has theirs as well, but we get one here from PlayStation. This article comes from IGN, and this was spotted by a user on a website, and he was looking into the patents of Sony, and he found something pretty interesting. And so just to preface, this patent was filed and was completely signed off, whatever, by Sony in 2015. Just keep that in mind here, right? So this patent kind of just debuts this kind of schematic of a new PlayStation handheld. Now, of course, the latest PlayStation handheld was the Vita. We all know, if you're a diehard, Vita fan, how good the Vita is. I'm saying, I know personally, I've owned two Vitas, and it does, it didn't get a lot of traction for a lot of different reasons, obviously, but just the Vita never took off in the way that I feel it deserves to take off, right? And maybe that could be the entire industry just moving away from handheld. Maybe that could be a thing, or maybe we're gonna see a resurgence here with the Switch coming out. But beside the point, PlayStation actually had this idea of the Switch, prior to the Switch even being outed, right? So we see here that, both PlayStation and Nintendo had the exact same ideas of having this kind of, handheld hybrid thing where you had a home console and as well as a handheld in the same form factor. And this is just so interesting and so, just kind of a nice insight on both companies, because, they had the exact same idea. They had the exact same, vision for a handheld console that you can take on the go, as well as take home, dock in, some sort of dock, and, stream it to your TV. Now, of course, here on the patent, we don't see anything about a dock, whatever, but we do see what looks like controllers that detach with the analog sticks attached to them as well, and, we have the center of the screen. And, of course, looking at it, at a better view, you can see that there is the same D-pad layout that we've had for a lot of consoles, from here on out. We also have the traditional triangle, circle, X, and square buttons, on the right side of the unit, and we also have two speaker grills that you can see. There's also, these dots scattered around the entire screen, right? Well, not scattered around, but there's one right below the analog sticks, and there's another one above the buttons or the D-pad, right? And maybe those buttons could be, I'm not even sure what they could be. Are they sensors? Are they IR blasters? Are they cameras? Who knows what these are? But there are dots right there that you can see. Also, when we look at the lower end of the console, we get what looks like a headphone port to the left, and then also to the right we get some some sort of jack. Now maybe that could be micro USB, that could be USB Type-C, who knows what that exactly could be, but we do have a range of ports here for this unit. And this patent is getting a lot of buzz around this thing, and there's a lot of people that are talking about it. And of course they are reaching out to Sony for confirmation on what this is and everything, like what this could possibly mean for a handheld future in Sony. And obviously Sony has not come out and say anything about this patent, because they tend to not really come out and say anything about things that they don't really have a lot to say, I feel, because I feel like this is not gonna come out. I feel like this is not gonna be an actual handheld that they would ever drop. Who knows? I mean maybe I could be wrong, I could be totally wrong here, but I feel like with the introduction of the Switch, I feel like this was just something that they thought of, I guess, and they saw that Nintendo was doing the same thing, and they would probably never do the same thing as them, because that would maybe shine a negative light on PlayStation, or maybe they can do it better, who knows. Maybe this could be a trend in handheld games, or we have a handheld console now that are hybrids, if you will. But I feel personally that this won't ever drop, but we can at least like to ponder, like to think of what a handheld for PlayStation in 2018 say would look like. Now, realistically speaking, do I think that PlayStation would launch another handheld? I'm not sure, honestly. I'm really not sure, right? Because we have here, if we look at the rotation, besides the Vita, we have the PS4, PSVR, PS4 Pro, right? That is basically what all we have right now in terms of hardware, right? And there is a PS3, but that's gonna wane, that's gonna die off here pretty soon, I assume. What I'm saying, because I feel like there would be really no point in making games so with the PS3 when the PS4 is still doing so good, like in sales wise and in figures. It is outpacing the PS2 month after month, in the amount of units it's sold. So it is definitely crazy, just a great overall console that has gotten a lot of traction, and it's got a lot of people buying the console, right? So I feel like there is incentive to make a handheld, but I'm not exactly sure if they would ever do. I mean, let's look back at their latest handheld, the PS Vita, right? Now, why did the Vita fail? This was one of my first videos on my channel as well, I was first making videos about discussing topics, and one of the ones that I felt really passionate about, really want to talk about, was why the Vita failed. And I feel there's a lot of reasons why the Vita failed, right? There's a lot of reasons why. I feel like one big thing is the pricing on things, because the proprietary ports for charging was messed up, and how they have proprietary memory cards, and the memory cards were so expensive. Like, I spent, I think, over $100 on the 32GB card, which is absolutely insane, absolutely stupid. But it's just those things that I feel were also a part of the Vita's downfall. And a lot of people want to say that, oh, it was because, it has no games, but I feel like the Vita has a ton of games, honestly. Like, there's a lot of games that you could choose from, just from the store or whatever. And, a lot of people also like to say that the Vita failed because of, there wasn't just a big support, with game devs, and they felt that, there wasn't enough game developers really, honing in on Vita. And we would see, a lot of things where we get one game from a dev that does really, good, or just does even like mediocre, and they go on, put their, and have their next game on the PS4, or they, have it on PC, on multi-platform. So, that happened a lot too, where they would just abandon ship on the Vita, and, for whatever reason that could be, maybe because, they want to, just have a game on a bigger, install-based system, or whatever you want to talk about. But beside the point, I feel that the Vita, was a great handheld, and, if they were to come up with their handheld, like, if they were, like, let's say E3 2016 comes around, E3 2017, my bad, just comes around, PlayStation opens up the conference, with their usual montage or whatever, and they announce a handheld. Like, let's just call it the PS Switch, just because, whatever, right? Like, let's say this patent comes to fruition, right? I feel like this handheld, if they're gonna ever do it, needs to be accessible and needs to work properly to how they're advertising it, right? Because a big thing was that, even the PSP had this, right? The PSP had a little thing called remote play. Now, I know if you guys are aware of consoles and the PlayStation ecosystem, you guys are aware of remote play, you guys know what it's supposed to do, all this good stuff. And, with the PSP, it never really worked out. It never really worked, to how it was advertised, how it was touted to be, and how everyone kind of wanted it to be, right? Then we go to Vita, and it was better. It was better, it worked. I feel it worked definitely well. I've used it a few times, not often, but I've used it, a few times here and there, and I feel like it worked overall. And there's a lot of testimonies saying that, oh, if you're out of state, if you're, across the country, whatever, you can still remote play from your PS4 at home and still play the, games that you have on your PS4 on your Vita absolutely fine. But, really though, what's gonna set this handheld apart? What I'm saying? What is gonna make this this handheld worth it, in 2018, right? And there's a lot of conversation you can talk about here, but I feel that if they have some way that this handheld works beautifully with the PS5, right? Let's just say PS5, okay? Like let's say it works absolutely the best way you could ever imagine, and it is just intuitive. It's an easy system to use. It doesn't have any ports that are proprietary. It doesn't have some random memory cards that take like a bajillion, half of your paycheck to even purchase or whatever. And if there's a ton of support, ton of games, and maybe cool features, I don't know, like maybe there's some way that it can, I don't know, earn you trophies. I don't know, just I'm not here to make up ideas here. I would love PlayStation and Sony to come out with a handheld in 2018 or whatever, or here pretty soon. But it's going to take a lot of engineering, a lot of thinking, and a lot of balls, honestly, because to really drop a handheld in 2018 where we rarely see handhelds at this point, it is going to be something that will be talked about. And on that note, if you guys want to make sure to like, subscribe, and share, always on the below, appreciate all of you. Thanks for watching, and as always, I got you.